All right, what's up? We're going to be going over my UFC Atlanta predictions. Usman versus Buckley as the main event. We're just going to go over some stuff about it and my predictions and things like that. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So, first thing I want to mention right off the bat, we're going to be going over the biggest prospects of the card. I got three of them, three big prospects. In my mind, a prospect is somebody who's unranked. Might not be super well known by the casual fan. Maybe, hardcore fans would know who these people are, I feel like. But anyway, yeah, these are my three I got for you. So we got Malcolm Wellmaker, of course, absolutely phenomenal in his last performance against, I believe it was Cameron Simon. Just destroyed him. So, that was awesome to see. We also have myself, Oumar Sai, and he is another one. He's a French fighter, and he's just so beautiful at striking and things like that. And then we have Mansur Abdul-Malik. I think he was the biggest favorite of the year so far, if I remember correctly. And he had a fun last fight. He knocked his opponent out. So yeah. All right. Next up, we got the big veteran names of the card. First one I want to go over is Michael Chiesa. I know. He's not like, Usman, Rose, Garbrandt, champion level. Neither is Paul Craig either. But I feel like these people have been staples of the UFC for long enough that they're just name value they bring to the card. And we have quite a few of them, Chiesa, Craig, both more grappler heavy styles. Usman and Rose, I would say, are more well-rounded fighters, and then we have Cody Garbrandt, of course, who, I honestly don't even know how to categorize him. He's a striker, obviously, but at this point in his career, what is he? Who really even knows? But yeah, those are our big veteran names on the card. Then, of course, we have our fan favorite, Joaquin Buckley. I debated putting Usman here. He's a favorite, but at this point in Usman's career, I don't know how many people are really rooting for him to win the title back. It would be something pretty crazy to see Usman win the title back, especially against really anybody in that 170 division. But yeah, I just find it more appealing to see a Joaquin Buckley versus Jack Della Maddalena than a Kamaru Usman. I just feel like Jack would be able to, do whatever he wants against Usman, and so that's why I picked the fan favorite as Joaquin Buckley. And of course, fight of the night. It's going to Buckley Usman. It's the highest level fight. There might be other fights out there that people would consider more of a banger. A hardcore fan would be like, "Oh, this fight, man, these people are gonna be so good." But in reality, I just think that Joaquin Buckley and Usman is the highest level fight there is, and honestly, they're both super entertaining in my opinion. I know people don't love Usman's style, but to me, he's just pretty cool. I really liked his title reign. I a lot of respect on him for that. But yeah, that's our fight of the night, and now we're gonna get into some of the fights that I want to cover. I don't want to do all the prelims. I do have predictions for everything here, but I'm going to start with Ricky Simon versus Charles Jourdain. Man, these people are, they're something else, man. These two really, at this point in their career, they're journeymen of the 135 division. They have fought a lot of people in this division, and, Ricky Simon, he was on a huge loss streak. I think it was 3 or 4 losses in a row before his, I believe it's Javid Basharat victory, which was kind of a fluke KO even then. While Charles Jourdain, kind of similar in his win-loss column there, just losing, winning, going back and forth. He has faced great competition as well. If I just give me a second here, I'm going to look up Mr. Jourdain's, let's see here. See who he fought the last couple of times. I just want to pull it up. Yeah, that's I don't know what I have here. Why it's a loss in November. It should be a win, and then lost to John Silva and lost to Sean Woodson. So again, you know, these dudes they beat the non-ranked opponents in this division, but you know what? I think this fight just got canceled. No way. No way. All right, well, whatever. All right, the first fight I want to get into for the night is Malcolm Wellmaker versus Kris Moutinho. These two are, they're very fun fighters. I think a lot of people really, really like them here. Malcolm Wellmaker, of course, new to the UFC, really put on a performance, a show against Cameron Simon. Really made him look terrible. I mean, I guess all the strikers have in Peyton Talbot and whatnot. So that's nothing too crazy, but we're going to look past that. Anyway, Kris Moutinho, punching bag for Sean O'Malley. That's really what he's known for, just great durability. He's won his last 3 fights, and as Malcolm Wellmaker, the yellow text there kind of makes it so you can know. White text is in the UFC fight, so that's why the December 2024 one is in white for Malcolm, while the other ones are all in yellow. Those just show, if the fight was in the UFC or not. But really, what this fight comes down to is Malcolm is just a better striker in general. I don't see any way that Kris Moutinho is going to be able to outstrike him or out-wrestle him, really, and it shows in the odds. Malcolm Wellmaker is like a 95% victory rate, basically, and yeah, it's just not fair, honestly. And so with that, I have Malcolm winning, and I've been winning by TKO, kind of similar to Sean O'Malley in that I don't know if Kris Moutinho is even, you can knock him out. Doesn't really make sense. I don't think people can do that. So I have it as TKO, kind of just like, I imagine Malcolm backing him up to the fence and landing a couple good shots, and then Moutinho just covering up and not defending very well, and then just second or third round, the ref jumps in because he's seen enough. And yeah, my odds are just about the same at this point. I mean, I don't know how much more money. 10 cents he'd probably win more based on my odds versus the real odds. So yeah, I just have Malcolm winning by a lot, and I'd be very surprised if he lost. All right, next fight I want to go over is Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. Chiesa won his last 2 fights, very grappler-heavy style. Court McGee, honestly, he's a journeyman. I would honestly think he's a little bit more of like a lower-tier journeyman, in my opinion. He's just not been able to beat or really even get to a fight with anyone that is the caliber Michael Chiesa was fighting earlier in his career. And just based on that alone and the odds, I'm going to go with Michael Chiesa. I just think he's going to be able to take Court McGee down. I think he'll be able to get to the back, and Michael Chiesa is going to get his patented rear naked choke in. And my odds suggest it's about the same. Maybe give Court McGee a little bit more respect. He is a journeyman. I'm pretty sure he won't give up every position, make too many huge errors since he's been in there for a while. But yeah, I just don't see a way he can win this very easily. So Michael Chiesa. Next up, we have Paul Craig and Rodolfo Bellato. Paul Craig, huge losing streak, just not doing well lately. Can't strike, can't get takedowns, and since he can't get takedowns, he's not submitting anybody. And Bellato, kind of different story here. Obviously, October 2023, he, I believe that's not a, what, I believe that's a Contender Series match, sorry. And then he won and had a draw against Jimmy Crute, where I believe it was like a 10-8 first round against him. He got knocked down badly multiple times and then won the last two, which shows great durability by Bellato. But yeah, Bellato, honestly, he's a little bit of a grappler, which makes me a little bit scared. But honestly, anyone can outstrike Paul Craig at this point in his career. The odds were bigger or wider. I think he was like a minus 500 favorite when this first was supposed to happen on, oh God, what card was that? I don't remember, but he pulled out like the day of with sickness. And so the odds do suggest that Paul Craig has a little bit better of a chance than people are giving him. I do think this will go to the ground at some point, and that does very much scare me. Just because Paul Craig has done it to everybody and anybody. But yeah, no, I'm just not going to bet against it because I just don't think Paul Craig has it in him anymore. And so I see Bellato winning by decision. Maybe a TKO. I could see him TKOing Paul Craig with his fists, but I'm going to go decision. Just play it safe, play it easy. And yeah, I'm going to give him a little bit worse odds here just because I think, again, Paul Craig has that ability, and I do think it will hit the ground and at some point. And it's hard to envision Craig actually pulling it off, but it's been hard before. So yeah, I'm going with Bellato, but do not count out Craig. He could be a underdog upset alert pick there. All right. Next up, we're going with Alonzo Menifield versus Oumar Sy. Oumar Sy, undefeated prospect, defeating people, French, just really outclassing people. They're clearly not at his level, and Menifield, he's not bad by any means. I think he's just too powerful and relies on his power too much. His technique isn't that great, and that's where I see Sy really just dominating this fight, outstriking Menifield. And Menifield, yes, he can put people's lights out, but I haven't seen it in a long time because the level of competition he's facing just has better technique. And, technique's going to beat power 9 times out of 10. And so I just see Sy winning this one by KO. Menifield has Menifield has a chin that I just don't think will be able to hold up by a couple of clean shots by Sy. And yeah, honestly, my odds are a little bit better or worse. I don't know. Depends what you think about it. But I just think Sy has a little bit better of odds than what it suggests currently. All right. Next up, we have Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Cody Brundage. These two, honestly, can't believe Brundage was on the UFC 300 main card. That's crazy to me. But nonetheless, Mansur Abdul-Malik, great win in his last one, although it was a little bit scary. But he's been a huge favorite in almost every fight that he's been in. Cody Brundage won his last one, had that no contest where I think he got eye poked or like hit in the back of the head and like quit basically. It was such a weird fight. And then I believe it's the Bo Nickel loss there. But yeah, Brundage just, he's not terrible, but I just don't think he'll be able to impose his wrestling, and his striking is just not good enough to really give Mansur Abdul-Malik any sort of problems. And so I see this as a pretty easy KO. I give Brundage a little bit more credit. Maybe he might be able to wrestle and implement a game plan around that, but other than that, I just don't see a path to victory there. All right, next up we have Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos. And Mr. Garbrandt, very much a storied career. Honestly, based on the last 3 fights, it looks better than what people suggest about his career at this point. The loss to Davidson Figueiredo at welter. No, oh my gosh. Could you imagine Garbrandt at welterweight? No. The loss to him at bantamweight is not that bad. But, Barcelos fraud checked Talbot, and is Talbot better than Garbrandt at this point in their career? Honestly, he might be. Garbrandt has the wrestling. I think that he could stop Barcelos from imposing that game plan, but I just don't see it. If Barcelos can do that to Talbot, I foresee him being able to do that against Garbrandt, bring him to a decision. I do think Cody could have the power in his hands to knock him out, obviously, and I do think Cody does have the ability to stuff the takedowns and, make it really ugly but win. And so I'm giving him fairly good odds. It's like, I believe this is like a 45% odds there, but yeah, Garbrandt, man, I just don't see him being able to stuff the takedowns effectively enough throughout 3 rounds, and that's why I think he'll probably lose a decision, unfortunately. But yeah, I think this will be a fun one. I think it'll be a little bit of a chess match, and we'll see how it ends. All right, the feature fight for the UFC Atlanta card is Edmen Shahbazyan versus Andre Petroski. This is a striker's delight. Edmen has fought a lot of really good high-level opponents. That loss there in August of 2024 to Gerald Meerschaert looks bad. Petroski hasn't fought the greatest of opponents, but has won. And so, I look at this and I think Petroski is not going to be able to wrestle against him. Edmen should probably win, right? But then, I've thought that about Edmen so many times, and he hasn't won. And I don't know. I just don't know. I'm going with Petroski. I'm giving him -110 odds, which is like 54% win percentage or something like that. I don't feel confident in that at all. I just think he's a little bit more, or has a little bit better of an ability to knock out Edmen, whereas as Edmen, I just don't see him being able to cleanly find the chin of Andre Petroski. And because of that, I just see Petroski being able to land the better shots and barely squeak out a decision, maybe a KO. But yeah, like I said, this is not a fight. I really think it will be pretty evenly matched, and I would not bet on this if I was betting at all, because this is a close fight through and through. All right, on to the co-main event. We have Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. What a terrible matchmaking here. I just... Miranda Maverick has been winning a lot, but God almighty, dude, I just don't see any form of skill from her at all. And Rose, on the other hand, as she has been on the decline, she still beats the lesser level opponents. She lost to a couple of, top 5 level opponents, but is Miranda Maverick really that? No. And so, I see Rose really winning this. It's really not even really that close of a fight to me. Rose, I think, could even implement her own grappling against Miranda. I don't think Miranda's going to be able to outstrike Rose, and yeah, it might be a little bit ugly, but I think Rose will be able to get it done. She'll win by decision. I give her about I think it's 60% chance. 40%. Maverick, she might be able to score a takedown, get to the back or something, and win a round or 2. And that's where I'm maybe I'll give her a little bit. But, Rose, I foresee her really just dominating this fight, 30-27 victory. So, and finally, we are on to the main event. We got Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. I love the matchmaking. First of all, Buckley, great with the call-outs against Usman, Covington, even the Stephen Thompson fight. All three of those just beautiful. And, Buckley has been on the murderer's row of old welterweight veterans at the top of the division. The odds suggest that he should do the same thing to Kamaru Usman, who's been off since 2023, which is about a year and a half at this point, even more than that. And so, it's gonna be rough for Usman. A lot of cage, ring rust there, but his losses, it looks bad on paper like this. But Leon Edwards and Khamzat Chimaev is really not that bad. Even that first Leon Edwards loss, really not that bad. The Chimaev loss, a lot of people think it's a draw or even Kamaru Usman victory, which honestly I don't see that even being a possibility. But what could happen in this fight? I could see this going one of two ways. One, Usman looks like old Usman. He looks old, and Joaquin Buckley is just too athletic, too fast, able to outstrike him, able to stop the takedowns, kind of similar to how Buckley destroyed Covington. I do think that the old knees, old hips of a wrestler like Usman might not play into his favor here. But I also do see a possibility, a world where Usman is just that good. He has been that good for a while, and he might be able to win a couple of those striking exchanges, use that to get into the clinch, get into the grappling portion, and get into the clinch and take down Buckley and win there. And I don't think he'll be able to submit Buckley because Usman has absolutely zero submission threat at all. But I do think he'll be able to land some ground and pound and just kind of ride out a round or two, maybe win a round striking, and I could see him winning a decision like 48-47 that way if needed. Usman is one of the smarter people with higher fight IQ there. But I really, what it comes down to is I think Usman is just too old. Buckley is the new generation. He's hungry. He wants it bad. He called out Usman, which makes me think that he's very confident he will win. And so I went with Buckley here by TKO. I think he'll be able to knock Kamaru Usman not out. I believe he'll be able to knock him down at one point. And then I do think that it'll end up probably similar to a Covington fight where Buckley kind of just does enough damage where the doctor stops it, or Usman is just like covering up and ref jumps in there. So that's really it. That's what I think about this fight card. A couple of other things that we got to go over are the other fights. We got Cody Jourdain versus Jose Achua. Honestly, I know who Cody Jourdain is. Achua has fought some couple of good opponents as well. People like him. He's a new prospect. I'm going with Jourdain. I just think he's fought better opponents and should be able to squeak out a decision victory, especially at the lower weight class. I believe they're 125. And so, skill matters more at that level. Experience matters, and Jourdain really needs a win, so I'm going to go with him. Not really confident on that at all, though. You can see the odds. I barely have him. It's like 49, 40, 51% favorited there. Phil Rowe, Anjay Lusa. First of all, Lusa absolutely quit against Battle. So, I'm just going to put that out there. But crazy. These two don't even look like they're in the same weight class when you look at it. But Rowe has fought good opponents. And as much as I don't think Rowe should be able to win, he has shown an ability to take people to close split decisions that I really didn't think he would be able to do, and so I think he should be able to just outstrike Lusa and really just not very easily, but be able to stick and jab his way to a victory. And then finally, we have Jamie Lynn Horth versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Horth is a huge favorite. Honestly, I don't really care about this fight. Horth, I've been on the hate train for a while for her, but that's besides the point. She's a big favorite. I'm going with her. That's really all that matters there for me. And final couple notes here. Betting odds, betting things that I would bet on. First of all, that big chart right in the middle, that is the current 2025 betting percentages for each of the fights, how they end. So 53% end in decision, 31% end in knockout, and 16% end in submission. Just throwing that out there for everybody. And then I have a couple of things here that I wanted to note. There are some huge favorites on this card, and currently throughout this year, 92% of favorites over 300, minus 300 odds or greater or less than, I guess. I'm not really sure how you think about that. But anyway, only 5 people out of like 70 fights have lost who have that big of odds. And honestly, I don't see it really failing you here. So take a lot of those huge favorites. I believe, and you'll win some free, easy money. You can even parlay them together to make some good money, which I believe is next up. But we'll go over that in a second. Favorites, again, favorites win 64% of the time this year in 2025 so far. And so because of that, go with the favorite on a couple of them if you're unsure. Maybe, if you're feeling good about it, take the underdog, but you got to feel pretty good because 36% underdogs win, and that's not great odds for you. So, and then last couple of notes I want to go over. Women's KO rate is 16%, which is 15% less than the regular KO rate. So, these 2 women fights on here, don't expect a KO. I would expect a submission or a decision, more likely a decision than not, because submissions are obviously a little more difficult to get to. And then again, like I was saying, underdog KO rate, if you're taking an underdog, don't do it because they're a KO guy. They have 10% less KOs than the average fighter. And, so that's kind of a big reason why I don't take a lot of these underdogs. It is possible, obviously, but I don't want to take these big underdogs if I think they only have a chance of winning by KO. And, yeah. All right. Parlays, confident picks. So like I was saying, if you parlay all of those 300 or minus 300 or greater fighters, you can bet $100 and you can win $191 there. That's, I believe it's those 5 people I listed below. No, 6 people because they didn't put Jamie Lynn Horth. But yeah, you put those 6 on there and you're going to probably get some pretty free money, like I said. Parlay all the favorites, you could do that as well. There are a couple fights here, I would say like 3 or 4 where they're under minus 200 odds, and I don't love those fights. I don't love picking them. You can win good money individually, doing individual money lines there, but parlaying them, I wouldn't do that, but you could. You can win $2,000 there. And then my confident picks, I have our Mansur, Abdul-Malik, Oumar, Michael Chiesa, Malcolm Wellmaker, and Rodolfo Bellato. I don't see a way those 5 lose, but or I do see ways they can lose, but I don't foresee it. I just think it wouldn't be quite the upset if any of those people lost. And yeah, that's really it. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.